to Move Better Every Day, a little mini workshop. Today I want to look at standing on one leg. So it's one of our 10 things to do every day. As always, I try and do like a really valid test with these things. So standing on one leg, and just lift the other leg up, and you should be able to, and I've just got my eye on my timer, you should be able to stand on one leg for 20 seconds. So I started at 2:07 on my timer. So no issues for me, because it's something that I train. So 20 seconds, that was just a little bit over 20 seconds. So try the other leg, especially if you didn't do that one with me. So standing on one leg, holding it there. 20 seconds is the absolute minimum. Great, so that's our test. I'm really comfortable with my balance training. It's something I do all the time. So coming back to everyday movements. So we're standing on one leg when we get dressed in the morning. We're lifting the other leg up, which is what I'm trying to do when I put my socks on, rather than round my back. So putting the socks on, standing on one leg to put my Wellingtons on when I'm walking Bodhi. You might stand on one leg for a moment as you're getting up and stepping over into the bath, for instance. Loads of times that we use it in everyday life. If you're not very confident with this, if you've failed the 20-second test just then, what it means is that you'll be a little bit uncoordinated, have poor balance. So uncoordinated as in you'll be a little bit clumsy maybe, because the balance is all off. You're more likely to fall as well, just falling for no apparent reason. So the main thing that we want to try and work on when we're doing one leg stand and working on this balance is thinking about where our centre of gravity is going to be. So come back to the one leg stand, and just, sorry, a little sideline. If you're really worried about this, or if balance is seriously an issue for you, please make sure you've either got someone with you, or you've got a wall to lean on, or a wall to touch, or something, back of a chair to hold on to, just something to keep you safe. So let's just try that again, and I'm going to roll my jeans up slightly. So even there, I'm lifting one leg up and I'm on one leg. Standing on one leg, and this time I'm going to try and close my eyes. So much harder. And what I'm noticing now, and you may be able to see it on the video, I'm not sure, but also what you're going to feel, and if it's too much to close your eyes, just open them. But what you might notice much more now is my ankle and my foot is oscillating. So that's constantly sending messages to my brain to find that balance point, to find that centre of gravity, so that it keeps me stable. I'm going to put my other foot down and try the other foot, closing my eyes again. Now at one point I started to lose my balance again, so this ankle is probably doing about the same amount of movement, and now I can feel that I'm going to lose my balance, but I'm just taking my arms out to the side and my leg out to the side a little bit. So this is helping me to adjust, and this is all about your proprioception. So your proprioception is about your knowing where your body is in space. So knowing where your hands are. So you close your eyes, I know that my hands, I've extended my arms out to the side. So this is why we can walk in the dark quite happily, not fall over, hopefully. And also when you're driving your car, you know where the accelerator is and the brake. You have to move your foot. You instinctively know. You might be a little bit if you're into a brand new car that's unusual to you, then that might be a little bit more awkward. But essentially, you've got that movement pattern trained, which is what comes back to the coordination. So it's really key to think about your centre of gravity with this sort of thing. So let's just look at this a little bit more, train it a little bit more if you like. So let's come onto the balls of both feet. I'm just going to turn, I'm going to go on a slight angle actually, onto the balls of both feet. So this in itself already harder. Now why is that harder? I've got both feet down, so I'm equally balanced, and I've got a fairly wide base, I'm sort of shoulder width apart, but I've lifted my heels up, so now my contact with the floor is only the balls of my feet. So that in itself is quite hard work. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I want you to have a little go at. So it's this adjusting. So as I feel like I'm falling back, I'm driving my hips forwards to counterbalance that. And then when I feel like I'm going to fall forwards, I'm going to stick my bottom out. So we're balancing out our centre of gravity. And this is actually quite challenging. So another thing to do here maybe would be to take some squats all the way down, some crouches all the way down. It's not a squat because I've got my heels up and then coming up. So hard work in the calf, hard work in the ankles, the feet, maybe a little bit uncomfortable with that. So again, another good thing to practice, but it's this, there's no problem with, so when we're doing one leg balances in my class, and we're, the arms might come out to the side, there's no problem with using your limbs, this is all part of the proprioception, to find that balance again. And we'll come on to that in a moment, just adding a bit more movement. Yeah, so I just wanted you to go now. So now try going on one leg with your whole foot down. So come back to that just one leg lifted, and think about moving your body. So you might be trying to reach into a cupboard. The functional reach, again, I've done a whole Move Better Everyday workshop on this one, and this was the final part of it. So it comes from the one leg stand and then the functional reaching forwards. As I'm tipping forwards, my head's gone forwards, the leg goes out behind me. You might not physically be able to take the opposite arm, which would be the perfect ideal, but you're reaching here, and I'm actually reaching the other leg back, and that's quite hard work on the glutes as well. Or just strengthen the legs, just full stop really. So reaching, the leg is lengthening out behind me. There's a little bit of movement, there's a little bit of counterbalance, constantly adjusting, making sure the knees are over the toes, and then standing up. So that's the thing I was going to say there, I lost my train of thought slightly. If you've had an injury, so if you've had an injury in your ankle, knee, hip, as we already know, the body adapts really quickly. So once you've had that injury, and then you start to move, your movement patterns will change because you might be guarding the pain. You might still be fearful of the pain even though the pain has passed. You might actually still have pain. So you'll move your body in a slightly different way, go along a slightly different movement pattern to avoid the pain. There might be scar tissue there. So a lot of my clients will say to me, oh yeah, I broke my ankle when I was a kid, or I broke my ankle years and years ago, but that ankle will still be weak. It will still be a problem. So standing on one leg, balancing, adding extra movement, just getting the strength, waking up all those receptors in the foot, the ankle, the knee, up through the hip, all the way up to the upper body, so that you can balance. They will strengthen and will get the whole thing better. Knowing as well which leg is your stronger side and your weaker side. So I've touched on this before. So if I ask you to lift a leg, you've probably lifted your dominant leg. Now I'm right-handed, I've lifted my right leg. that basically means that your left leg will be the stronger one for one leg standing, because essentially when you're walking, this is your dominant leg, your leading leg. Whenever I was dancing, I always led with my right leg, pretty much everything I did, but you're pushing off with the other leg. So you might be the other way round. Because this leg is always pushing off from the ground, it becomes stronger. Whereas this leg is always in the air. It's always leading the way. So your handedness side will potentially be your weaker side for one leg standing. The back line of the body won't be as strong because your habit is to push off, working the back line of the body with the other side. So that's something to think about as well. And it's not, we're not symmetrical. We don't live symmetrical lives. But if you notice that you've got a big discrepancy between one side and the other, train the weaker side more. Stretch the tighter side more. All the same stuff. So you try and address the imbalance. So, adding on a couple more challenges to this. So standing on one leg, so this isn't very Pilates based today, this is very much about functional movement. Let's stand on one leg, start on your weaker side if you can, and reach the other leg forwards as much as you can, and then take a great big semicircle all the way round behind you. And then maybe lift that leg up and come through again. Now reach forwards. So in order to reach forwards, I'm going back a little bit with my top half of my body, driving my hips forwards a little bit. You're trying to, I don't know, pick something out of the river with your toes. Maybe, I don't know. Taking the leg round to the side. So you could be really upright, but that's actually quite difficult. It's easier, and I would encourage you to challenge it. Let your head go, let your shoulders go. Find that tipping point. So my knee, my ankle, everything is working really quite hard. When you go round to the back, here's your functional reach. This is actually a really good movement pattern, a handy movement pattern. As you come through with that leg, lift the knee up. Here's our putting our socks on without having to round the back too much. Lift that knee up. Here's you climbing over a gate, stepping over something. Get that leg up. And I've purposefully worn my jeans today, although they're quite baggy, but just so that I'm not in my workout gear. This is something you can do every single day. So try the other leg. And actually that's, I don't know whether you're feeling it, but I can really feel, so the muscles that will really work here are either side of the calf, the ankle, all the shin, from all of that oscillating that's going on. So it's really quite hard work. On the other leg. Stretching forwards, and again my arms are counterbalancing, absolutely fine. Take the leg round to the side, round to the back. In fact, I'm going to come back round to the side again. So leaning over, go for it. I generally find when I'm trying to balance, and especially when I'm holding a balance, that I soften my knee. That's much easier than having a really straight leg. Lift that knee up as high as you can to go through, and lengthening, stretching, drive the hips forwards. If you've got short Achilles like me, that back heel might come off, but then that's even harder. So again, you could make this harder with the being on the ball of the foot all the time. That's really quite tough, perhaps not. Going behind. What about, on this side, take the leg all the way around to the other side. So cross it over at the back. And then coming up. Notice how everything adjusts so that the ultimate goal, and enough there, give the legs a bit of a shake. The ultimate goal is to be standing on one leg. So one more thing to make this really a lot harder is to try your balance on an unstable surface. And again, it will just challenge everything 10 times more. So I'm not sure if this is going to be particularly wobbly. Yeah, it's quite wobbly, but it's actually, I'm sinking into it a little bit too much. So adding movement. So the first thing, so the 3 stages, if you like, of one leg balance. That's not much use to me today. just standing and trying to stand still. And then adding closing the eyes, taking the visual system away. And you realise as well how much you rely on your eyes when you close them. It's like suddenly you're, whoa, I'm going to fall off the floor, but there's nowhere to go. It's hardly any different, but your eyes really will, we really do use them. The other thing is to add some movement. So standing on one leg, but adding movement. Either swinging the other leg, swinging the arms, I don't know, up to the top, all around. Just challenge it, go for it. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be necessarily functional, but just challenge it. Go to the edges, as I always say. So then the last one, the final one, is to be on an unstable surface. So I'm going to go for 2 cushions. See how this goes. Yeah, a bit rubbish actually. So a more, it's reasonably difficult. So my ankle is probably wobbling about a little bit more. Now if I try and challenge it more by taking myself sort of off axis, turning that leg all the way around the back. And you'll find, I'm going to try the other side, you'll find when you do this sort of thing, in fact maybe I'll try yoga block and the cushion. Cushion and yoga block on top, trying all the different angles. Yeah, slightly unstable, although yeah, doesn't feel too different to me. But I can definitely feel my ankle and my foot working much harder. And also here, I've only got 3/4 of my foot. My heel is hanging off and my toes are hanging off. So that's going to make a difference. The amount of surface that you've got to work on. So the other thing I wanted to notice here and just draw your attention to. So when you're trying to adjust, let's pull this one up again. Should have worn my other jeans in hindsight. When you're trying to adjust, notice that you will, and again this is all part of the brain thing, it's much easier to balance when I'm coordinated. So when I've got opposite arm and leg. Again, another way I guess to challenge the balance if you're able to, or another reason why you might not be able to balance is because you're same arm as leg. So when I've got same arm as leg, this is now much more challenging because everything's opened up. There isn't that opposite sling from one shoulder to the opposite hip, from the front to the back, sort of top quarter to bottom quarter. They work in opposition as opposed to going the same way. But if you really wanted to challenge the balance much more, then this would be a way to do it, absolutely. So I'm much more comfortable as soon as I drop that top opposite shoulder to that front leg, she says. But the things that are making me retain my balance, this is actually quite good, it is quite wobbly, are my brain coming back to my coordination. Whew, I'll give that ankle a little bit of a twist. Great job. I'm going to leave that there today. I was going to do something else as well, but watch this space and give me some comments and let me know what you thought. Thank you very much.